Well, are you ready for Cult Coins Part 2? Today, we are getting into the nitty-gritty. We are getting into the heavy communities who have pretty much a zero tolerance policy for criticisms. So, let's go. First, I want to say how delightfully surprised I was at the level-headed comments I received on this Cult Coins Part 1 video that I posted on Wednesday. It was almost to the point where I reconsidered thinking of Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin Cash SV as cult coins. Maybe they turned over a new leaf? Maybe that video just didn't quite make it into those communities yet. Regardless, it just made me really appreciate all of you guys who are watching these videos. You guys are great, so thank you. With all that being said, the cryptocurrencies that I am covering today are even more infamous for being, or for having a really heavy hand with the shill and the troll armies. And that being what it is, today, this video, I'm really trying to give you guys a well-balanced view of the pros and cons of these coins. And for me to be unbiased on these particular coins was almost painful. So I'm really trying here. I'm sure there's going to be people, especially within these groups, that are going to want to correct me. And as always, I welcome that in the comments. I said it in the Part 1 video, and I will say it again for this one. I want nothing more than for this video to show you the other side of the conversation that is oftentimes snuffed out by these, what can definitely be considered as toxic communities who, again, have like a zero tolerance policy for criticism. I think having a well-rounded perspective and searching out both the pros and the cons and looking at them honestly is a really good and level-headed approach, especially if you are interested in investing in a coin. This space is still so early that there are plenty of projects that will continue well through into the next bull run. Whether that kind of success is justified or not, with the tech that they are building, with the solutions that they are providing, if they are providing a solution. Reason being, I believe that the next bull run will be fueled by liquidity rather than the fundamentals of any project. But if or when things really start to get down and dirty for this cryptocurrency space, that's when we will see the projects that have been building from the start, been building towards becoming more decentralized. They have real use cases and they provide real solutions. Those are the cryptocurrencies that will be left standing. Again, I am not saying that these coins I am listing here today will not continue to thrive in the future. There is a reason why they have such diehard fans. There are pros to these coins, but the purpose of this video is to provide a more well-rounded or balanced review of these coins, especially for those people who might find themselves a bit intimidated by those really rowdy communities who, again, have like a zero tolerance policy for criticisms. Just know this. No coin is perfect. I don't care how diehard of a fan you are for any coin, know that your coin is not perfect. Each coin is designed having to make trade-offs. They have to make those hard decisions of which way the path for that cryptocurrency will be. And as such, different cryptocurrencies are taking different paths. So just keep that in mind. No crypto is perfect. No crypto was created equal. And so that, I think, is a healthy mindset. Try to take the emotion out of it, especially if you're dealing with investing your money. Now, for the sake of time, I am only providing just a basic review of the pros and cons of these coins. If something I said, or for whatever reason, one of these coins has sparked your interest, I certainly encourage you to check out the links that I provided for you down below in the video description so you can be well on your way towards doing your own research and coming to your own conclusions. Okay, the first coin I'm going to talk about today is XRP. Now, the cryptocurrency is called XRP. The company that runs it is Ripple. That's just so you should know, so we're all on the same page there, the cryptocurrency itself is called XRP. So the pros of XRP is that, and I guess the Ripple company, is that their aims are really to target the remittance market, which is something that desperately needs disruption. There are so many people who need to have a cheaper way to send money home, especially if they are from a developing country and, a member of the family is out earning money to send back to their family. There are so many people who are doing this, and oftentimes options like Western Union cost so much that it doesn't even make sense for them to be sending the money frequently because the costs outweigh the amount of money that they would actually be sending. So the market of remittances is really in need of disruption, and Ripple has certainly aligned itself to be a solution for that. Another pro here is for Ripple, the company. They have a lot of partnerships with banks and with other financial institutions. And so that could be setting the stage for a lot of adoption of XRP, but that is yet to be seen. All right, getting into the cons of XRP is that those partnerships with the banks and with the financial institutions, in my opinion, it's definitely a double-edged sword, because although they can certainly help with gaining more adoption, more exposure, getting more uses, you're still involving yourself with things like banks and financial institutions, which are heavily regulated. The kind of regulations that often hold back or altogether smother the innovations that could be happening for those banks and financial institutions. Another con here is kind of a technicality, and that being these banks and financial institutions that have partnered with Ripple and they're using this payment solution. They don't necessarily have to be transacting in XRP to be using this technology. They might have to have XRP on hand in order to kind of validate the transaction or to be able to use that solution, but they don't need to be actually transacting in XRP to use it. Yes, if they were transacting in XRP, they would be saving even more money, but that kind of adoption is yet to be seen. The next one on the cons list for XRP is that the CEO of Ripple Labs has called himself a contrarian within this cryptocurrency space because he is not anti-bank, he is not anti-government, and believe it or not, he's not even anti-fiat currencies. So I think it's safe to say that he's not exactly trying to facilitate building a tool that will disrupt these historically centralized and corrupt systems. Also, there is a huge supply of XRP coins. I believe it's around 100 billion coins, the majority of which, I believe around 55 billion, are ultimately controlled by Ripple Labs. What I mean by that is they've organized an escrow account to hold or manage 55 billion XRP coins. And how it works is every month, that escrow service releases 1 billion XRP to Ripple Labs and whoever, are allowed to have access to them to more or less do whatever they want. They've claimed that these funds can be used to incentivize market makers, or they can use these funds and sell them to institutional investors. Now, although most of those coins that are released every month, again, it's 1 billion coins, most of that is returned back into the escrow service. But please do not forget or, sweep under the rug the fact that much coins are still being allocated towards Ripple Labs each and every month. Next up, we have, drumroll please. Next up, we have EOS. This one is definitely notorious for having some vocal people speaking out about any kind of criticism anyone might have on EOS. I've been a kind of vocal person in the negative toward EOS, so maybe that's why I seem to get more exposure to that. But here are the pros for EOS. It is designed to make it easy for developers to create dApps on the platform. Also, it has a self-governance model that allows EOS holders to vote, and depending on how much EOS you are holding, that determines the weight of your vote or how many votes you have. There's also a steady 5% yearly inflation designed to incentivize miners, and this inflation is also what helps keep the transaction fees low. And you can't have a blockchain designed by Dan Larimer without having the ability to handle a crap ton amount of transactions per second while still maintaining fast speeds and cheap transactions. Okay, are we ready for the cons of EOS? A hint here is that it was developed by Dan Larimer and his affinity towards delegated proof of stake. Delegated proof of stake, depending on how it's organized and implemented, can certainly open the door for things like collusion and ultimately centralized control of that blockchain. Now, EOS is a young cryptocurrency, and still, we have already witnessed what I just told you, pretty much collusion on the blockchain between the block producers, people voting for each other in, utilizing their position of power and the huge bags of EOS that they have that kind of solidify their position there, and they're just paying themselves to keep in this position. Now, this isn't a con if you are comfortable you are then required to trust that an individual or group of individuals will make decisions keeping your best interests in mind. But as we've seen being played out throughout history for centuries now, this is rarely the case for long. And let me just say, we now live in a world where there are plenty of other options that don't have this kind of foundation that allows for this type of, potential of centralized control, collusion, opaqueness on who is, controlling the blockchain and how they gain their position. And because of that, it's just difficult for me to say that this kind of foundation will lead to any kind of long-term positive outcome. All right, last on my list today is Tron. And I will be honest with you, this one was difficult to find the pros. And like I said before in my last video, we are all guilty of having bias. No matter how hard we might try to be unbiased, we are human. We are subjected to our perspective of the facts as they are presented to us. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I find it very hard to say anything really truly positive about Tron because there's so much about this blockchain and platform and founder and CEO that just rubs me completely the wrong way and goes against a lot of my philosophical ideals in this space. But anyway, here are the pros for Tron. According to their white paper, it is designed to facilitate the sharing of and publishing of content online by the way of removing middlemen, trying to bring content producers and publishers together with content consumers in a way that is cheaper, easier, faster, what have you. Another pro for Tron is that they do have self-governance. And that's about all I could come up with the pros for Tron. Tron is another one of those notorious coins for having cheerleaders, and I know they're going to show up in the comments on this video. So if you're looking for pros of Tron, just go ahead and go through the comments, and I'm sure they will be happy to educate you. Okay, so here are the cons for Tron. Just like EOS, they also are it's also a delegated proof of stake blockchain DPoS, or should I say it TPoS, as it's been described in the information I found online. Interesting fact here is that Tron was initially developed as a proof of stake with the proof of stake consensus model, and then they chose to go to delegated proof of stake. So let's just keep that in mind. They chose to go more centralized. Another con for Tron, and it could definitely certainly also go for EOS. It's self-proclaimed Ethereum killer. There's a lot of competition in that space, and a lot of projects are calling themselves the next Ethereum killer. You know what? I want to recommend you all a book written by Peter Thiel called 0 to 1. In that book, he has an epic quote that goes something like this: competition is for losers. If you want to know what he means by that or how he justifies that quote, I definitely encourage you to check out that book. It's a great read, and it's also available as an audiobook. Now for me, and obvious con for Tron is, well, it's a con for any blockchain that has like a super vocal CEO or founder or someone who's trying to be the face and talking head of that blockchain. They are trying, and they love to be the centralized figurehead of a network that I would hope their main concern should be the level of decentralization that they have. And the very position of someone like that is very counterintuitive. So not only does Tron have one of these centralized figureheads, they have what probably could be considered the worst one. Justin is definitely notorious for making all the wrong decisions, just being really shamelessly marketing himself and putting a lot of money towards marketing and flashy things rather than letting the tech speak for itself, really, actually providing solutions for people. He also had an acquisition of Steemit Inc., technically Steemit, and pretty much the whole Steem blockchain. If you're curious on my thoughts and how that all went down, go ahead and check out my video. I'll post it up here so you can get the link there. Another con for Tron is that there's really not been a lot of development ever since October of 2018. And that's according to their own roadmap from their official website. There's not a lot that's been going on ever since, they launched their mainnet and they launched like a dApp platform. That's about it. And not a whole lot since October 2018. Additionally, did you know that there will be another option for a TRX coin offering after January 1st of the year 2021? It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Lastly, on the cons for Tron, I guess, is there's most of the activity happening on that blockchain involves betting or dice games. Really, I don't see a lot of activity going towards, their initial mission of trying to connect data publishers and do the social media thing and trying to disrupt Google and Facebook and YouTube. It looks like a lot of attention is being paid instead towards betting, dApps, and dice games. So that's it. That's my video of pros and cons for all you cult coins out there. I hope that you guys enjoy this. Maybe I can shed some light on some things on these coins. For those of you who've been constantly begging me to talk about Ripple, there you go. There's your video. That's about as much as you'll ever get out of me talking about that, talking about XRP. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I'll be coming to you guys again soon. In the meantime, I hope you're staying happy and healthy.